Andrew Ference. Andrew, how are we doing today?
You're using that expert word fairly loosely right now. I'm doing okay, but nice to talk to you guys.
Absolutely, yeah. It's always a pleasure. It's been too long. You were very kind to me as a rookie reporter in 2010, 2011. So you are an expert in terms of everything in my world forever. So I always
All
appreciate
right,
that.
thanks.
So this best snow day ever. How did this come to be for you and your involvement in it, and how did it come across your plate and something that you wanted to be a part of?
Well, honestly, I think quite a long story, Eric. I mean, when I finished my career, less than a year, actually ended up taking a job with the league in our social impact, growth initiatives, and legislative affairs department. So it's a mouthful, but there's a lot of work in there. A lot of it about developing, participation programs for youth and, different hooks, to really get the next generation involved in hockey, liking hockey. So it's pretty wide-ranging amount of work, like I said, but this kind of falls into that category. Yes. So I've been at the league for 7 years now on the business side. Obviously stayed as close in touch as I can with the Bruins and everything Boston. So whenever something comes up, Bruins or Boston related, it's always a yes. And I guess this is one of those things. So our innovation team at the league is pretty wild. I don't know if most people have seen some of the different animation. We're doing games of the week, and we've done a couple collaborations with Big City Greens at a league level, where we're taking all that real time data from the games and turning into animation. It's technology beyond my grasp of how they do it. It's pretty amazing stuff, but it's really geared towards, making the game different and fun for a younger generation. And now that we've had a couple goes at a league level, we've distributed the technology to some of the clubs to use at a regional level. And the Bruins were the first one to take a swing at it through their partnership with Nesson as well. So, the Bruins really approached using the technology in a cool way. I guess it's more than just kind of let's take the real game and turn it into a cartoon and have it be at that. They looked at it as an opportunity, I think, to develop some of the programs that they're doing in the community with their Future Goals work, which is a program that goes into schools and teaches science and math and technology through the game of hockey. And learning math and physics and some of these different STEM concepts, through sports is probably a lot more fun than just some of the old school textbooks that I read growing up. So it's a neat program that they kind of tied to this game. And, so instead of just calling the game like we normally would, we threw in a bunch of science and math nuggets and fun facts. And I kind of felt like Cliff sitting at the bar at Cheers, just rattling off random facts and things about Boston, but it was a lot of fun. I mean, I loved it. The Bruins approached me, I think, because they know that, to your earlier moniker of expert, I'm probably not like a stats guy or, know exactly what's going on with each player in the league and which way they shoot and stuff like that. But I love the game and I love what the game brings. And I love kind of, bringing it down to a level where you're just having fun with it with kids. And so, they approached me and it was an easy yes to take, like I said, take a swing at it. It was fun.
What'd you think of the animated version of Andrew Ference? Did they do you justice?
It was all right. I got a Bruins jersey, so that was good. It looked sharp. But my request was actually to have costume changes, kind of like a Lady Gaga concert or something like that. So I wanted to have like the Paul Revere, kind of outfit and, the Pilgrim outfit. So, like little costume changes throughout and, like I said, do justice to my fun facts about Boston that I was rattling off all game. But no, it was great. It looked all right. I think the last time I was animated was for Wii Bowling, and I didn't look anything like myself. So,
when you were rattling off the fun facts about Boston, for those of us who were at the game and couldn't follow along, what's your favorite fun fact about Boston?
Well, you know what? I threw one in there that actually was kind of funny, and I was like, oh yeah, it's a kid's game, but I lived in the North End, right? So, the great molasses flood of 1919, where the molasses tank exploded and flooded the north end of Boston and actually killed 21 people. So it's not the most kid-friendly stat, but fascinating.
It is.
On hot days, they say you can still smell it. I can't. I don't know if I was there for any really hot days in the summer. I'd come home, obviously, back to Canada during the summer, so maybe I missed those. But fun fact.
Andrew, this Bruins team right now is in a similar spot to when you first came to Boston from Calgary. And really what's interesting is that, you hear a lot of talk about the culture and, everything like that. The game has changed. The game can get faster and get more skilled, but culture remains a constant. In your opinion, what does a culture have to have as like a non-negotiable when you are building a team back up to championship contention or anything like that? Like, where does it really begin when it comes to building a culture as a hockey team?
I think the number one thing is individual responsibility. I think that the trap for, I think, teams with history and teams that have been good for a while is that people can come onto that team and think they're magically transformed into something by, throwing on a jersey, and that they become part of that identity or culture, or whatever it is that team has been, over the past. And so, for us, we built up, like when I was there and in the years that I was there, it was a pretty tough team, and I was, willing to fight for each other and go to battle. And, our big thing was, let's make our fans proud of us again, right? Like you said, when I first came from Calgary, like there wasn't a lot of Bruins memorabilia being worn around the streets. You wouldn't really see it, right? And the garden was kind of half full, and there was that sense of, like they've lost pride in us as a group, and that was our number one focus, right? But like I say, you go out as a team, but you don't just magically, like I said, become something. Like, it's up to you as an individual to like make little decisions and commit to it yourself in a very selfish way that contributes to the culture, right? So I don't know, it makes perfect sense to me trying to explain here, but I think that each individual that I saw, that was an important piece in what we built, was committed to contributing to the culture, not just to, take from it, or not just to kind of slap it as a moniker on who they are as a player, but, show up to the rink for every practice, every game, and like contribute to the culture and become the culture and be the reason why the culture is that way and why it's a tough team, why they practice so freaking hard against each other and battle, and, all those little things that made us good and so consistent, and the ability for us to, speak fairly bluntly in the dressing room and have a respect for each other that, demanded, all those little things that like we said, wanted to, make our fans proud of us again. So, I think that's, what good teams have is they bring in individuals that, they're I don't know, givers, not takers, to what it takes to be, to continue on the tradition. Yeah. So it doesn't just happen by default, right? Like, you're not just a tough team or a hard team to play against because you said so, or because they have been for the last 5 years. Like, you have to reprove it over and over and over again. Like, it's a never ending thing, right? Like, you don't just get it by default.
One of the things that we've talked about here in the last couple of weeks coming out of the trade deadline, with Marchand leaving, Carlo, Coyle, is the loss of leadership in that room. I mean, in all the locker rooms, both in Boston, Calgary, Edmonton, Pittsburgh, all the places that you played, did you ever deal with a leadership void and have to kind of rebuild from that perspective?
Yeah, when I was captain in Edmonton. I mean that's kind of a joke, but it's in all honesty, it's kind of true. It was like kind of dire times, and nobody really knew how to win or had won. I came in, I never played a single game as an Oiler, and all of a sudden, I'm captain. I'm probably, I don't know, third, fourth defenseman, and it's not ideal, to be honest. Like, I think I was captain, for what I had experienced with those other teams and what I had seen and what I had witnessed, and, to the point that I just explained. some of those philosophies behind what it takes. But typically you or ideally, it's not like your captain or your leader has to be the guy with the hardest slap shot and the fastest skater and, the best goal scorer. Cause, those qualities are very physical attributes of, how you play the game. It doesn't make you a good leader. It doesn't make you smart about, doing the right things, but it's really helpful when, the leaders on your team are your best players and are those people that are out there in the, real consequential, parts of the game that you need a goal or you need a big save or whatever it is. Like it's a nice to have, right? Like that's why, Crosby is, practice the right way, play the right way. He's out there in all the big moments, right? Bergeron, same thing. You're the right kind of person with, and the best player on the team. And so like those great leaders are great because, they have both of those attributes. So when there's a void, I think it's not, necessarily carrying a flag by yourself. It's, starting to build up little committees, right. And establish, leadership as a group. And, you can't just try to shoulder everything by yourself of what you want to be or, how you're going to be that way. I guess a distribution of responsibilities and, you develop a little leadership group and, people have different roles and you try to be a really good manager, I guess, of that. And actually, as much as Z was a good leader in his own right, just as an individual, like I say it often to people that ask, is his greatest attribute was that he did bring a lot of people into the fold and he created like a little leadership team. And he was really good at distributing, responsibility and ownership of, what we're trying to build to other people, including myself, right? So it wasn't just Big Z all by himself in the middle of the room, like being a leader. It was, really, and especially like being in the corporate world now, like seeing what he was a great manager and he built up like a good group of people that he was good at managing and distributing responsibilities to.
Lastly, Andrew, before we let you go here, tonight, Bruins in Tampa, you were obviously in that Game 7. Just one of the best hockey games I think a lot of people here in Boston have ever seen. What do you remember about that game and the emotions of that game in the locker room as it was progressing?
That was insane. That was a crazy game. It was my favorite game, I think, of my entire career. And it was obviously a huge game, just for us to get to the final. Obviously, that's the easiest statement, I guess, to make about that game. But yeah, the build up, the Garden kind of just shaking at that, that by that time everybody's in full playoff fever and knows what the opportunity is to get to the final. And it was a great series leading up to that. I think just the quality of hockey. It didn't have obviously the fireworks of the final and kind of the bad blood and all that kind of stuff, but just the pure quality of the hockey was incredible. Timmy had probably a dozen, crazy Sports Center kind of saves, that last game was, no penalties, 1-0. I think the loudest I probably ever heard the Garden, after we scored, and then I don't know what we scored at. Was it 5 or 6 minutes left in the game, or maybe it was more? But it was like that last entire length of the game was, I don't know if anybody sat down or the building stopped rumbling or my butterflies stopped in my stomach. It was just a pretty magical like home stretch after we scored to hold that 1-0 lead. So, and a beautiful second assist on the goal, I got to say.
That's right. Broke through.
Probably one of the best. So it was a good goal. It was actually neat. Like, and kidding aside, like it was nice that game ended with like a really good goal, because it was, right. We broke down their neutral zone kind of forecheck, which was pretty tough, and kind of stymied so many other teams. And so it was pretty cool that break it down, Kretsch making just such an incredible pass, and it's better than a shot from the point that goes off 2 shin pads and in. For a game like that, deserved a good goal.
It was an awesome game, awesome goal, and yes, no one was sitting down the final 10 minutes of that game. Absolutely fantastic. Andrew, thank you so much for joining us. I know it was an early morning for you, so I really appreciate you taking the time to talk. And you're always welcome back in Boston, cartoon or real life. We love seeing you.
Perfect.
We love having you back in town. So please come back soon for sure.
Well, you'll probably see me leading like one of those trolley tours or something like that, and just giving people all the fun facts.
You should, yeah. Just make them not about death if we can. I think that's probably the move moving forward. I would imagine
It's part of life. It's part of life.
It is.
I like those ghost tours. All right, you
got a
guys.
second life as a duck boat tour guide.
Awesome.
I hope you guys are well.